name's Nicole.
And I'm Allie.
And this is our July reading recap.
Yep.
So it's our books that we read in July. So let's start off with numbers really quickly. I read 8 books in July.
Oh, I read. I threw Allie off.
I just thought that we know like how to switch off or something.
I think I finished 7. So Okay.
We're okay.
Okay, I read 7 books in July.
Alright. I'll start. And you can
Calm down.
calm down. Okay, so my first book that I read in July, or I finished in July, I should say, is The War of Art, which is the writing book that we did a video about. So
Okay.
there's not much for me to say about that. We made a whole video about it.
We did make a whole video about it. Okay, so the first one that I read in July, I'm going off my list of what I said in the video.
Yes.
So I'll just go in this order. Okay, so the first one I said, or the first one I wrote down anyway, was the Modern Library's Writers Workshop,
Yes.
which I read and we are going to do a video about, so I won't really say much about it. But it is a writing craft book,
Yes.
and I finished it in July.
My next book, speaking of going off our July TBRs that we talked about in our video, I actually only read one book from that because we kind of did that video like midway through the month.
We did.
So
Yeah.
I don't even know what I said for those. But anyway, my next book is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which shockingly I only read last month, but I've talked about in like 4 videos so far on this channel. It's a story about Evelyn Hugo. She's getting, she asked this journalist to write her biography, and she basically takes her back through her life based on her 7 husbands. And you go through that, and then at the end of the story, you find out why she asked this specific journalist to do her story for her. It's very good. I highly recommend it. I'm sure, like, if you're on BookTube, you've probably heard about it or read it already, but if you haven't, just read it, please.
My next one is Roller Girl, which is a graphic novel, and I really liked it. It's super cute. It's a middle grade graphic novel about a girl who is getting ready to start camp she goes to a roller derby bout and then decides she wants to try a little camp. And she thinks her best friend's gonna come with her. She kind of just assumes, and her best friend's actually going to ballet camp. So they're kind of growing apart as she's making new friends. And it's a very, it's a book that really, I think, resonates with that age group. I think that's a big part of middle school and high school is just like, growing apart from some friends and getting closer to others. I think that happens throughout life, but definitely a lot in middle school and high school. So that was really good, and yeah, I really liked it a lot.
My next book is Lullaby by Chuck Palahniuk. I read this basically because I was at a cottage in New York for a week in the summer with my husband's family, and they were renting out this cottage, and this book was on their bookshelf, and I thought it was really funny because it was like all these more like fluffier books and then a Chuck Palahniuk book, which is kind of, but it's basically a story about a guy who's traveling the country trying to destroy all copies of this one book of children's poetry because one of the poems in the book is actually an old African culling song, which basically causes the listeners to, if you have intent behind it when you're saying it, it causes the listener of the poem to die in their sleep, to basically fall asleep and die. And a lot of people are reading it to their young children when they're trying to put them to bed, and then their children are dying. So that's the basic plot of the book. And it was interesting.
All right, my next book was Keeper by Kim Chance, which I pretty sure I mentioned in the video, and I read this book in, I want to say like a day and a half.
Yeah, you read it really quick.
I did. I really, really enjoyed it. It is the story of a girl who is just like a normal high school girl. I think, if I remember right, she's getting ready to start her senior year, and then she starts having visions or seeing a ghost or something, and she's not really sure what's going on. It actually takes quite a while to figure out exactly what's up, but you kind of guess there's a lot of magic, and there's some cool like lore around the magic and like how the magic works and stuff that I really thought was enjoyable, and it was a very fun read. I'm excited for the sequel. I think it's called Seeker, that's coming out. I think she just finished writing it, so it'll be a little bit.
I'm really excited to read that.
Yeah, I'm glad that I was really excited to read it, and I'm really glad that I actually liked it, because that is always a bonus.
Yes.
So
yes. My next book is actually a physical copy that I have. It is The Wicked and the Wallflower by Sarah MacLean. It's the Bare Knuckle Bastards book 1. She tends to write, I want to say like trilogies, and maybe she had one that was a quartet. Anyway, so this is her newest like trilogy, and it's usually like, because there'll be like 3 characters or something, so like each book's about like 1 character or whatever. So this is about, I'm pretty sure it's going to be about all 3 of them. So it's 3 illegitimate sons of a duke or a lord or some kind of higher up guy, whatever. So this follows like the first son. And it also involves a girl that was in the last book of her last series. So she's like the main character of this series, and the main male character, what's his name? Devil. They call him Devil, so that's why his name's Devil. It's not his actual name, but so Devil's trying to kind of get back at one of his brothers, and Felicity, who is the main female character in the story, has been kind of like shunned from her friend group, and she wants to get back into it. And then also her family needs her to marry rich because they're kind of out of money. And so he's trying to basically get her to get with he's playing her in a way. He wants to get her to like get engaged to his brother, so that he can like steal her from him and cause like a whole scandal, because he's trying to get back at his brother. And along the way they fall in love. So I mean, it's a pretty typical historical romance in that regard, but I really like the characters. Felicity also picks locks, which is very unlike a lady of the ton of society, but yeah, I know, it's fun, it's enjoyable. I really like this author, so
cool. The next book I read was Fahrenheit 451. Is it 451 or 451?
I don't know.
I always say 451.
Isn't it Fahrenheit 451 because that's like the temperature that something burns at or something like that?
It's the, it might be, but it's the, I think it's, oh my gosh, I just read this, I should remember. I'm pretty sure it's their like fire station.
Oh, okay, then maybe
it's 451, but 451 still makes more sense than 451. Anyway,
whatever it's called,
you read it. I read it, and it's my first foray into Ray Bradbury, and I really liked it a lot. My only issue with the book, and I guess it just makes sense in the society, this guy keeps doing stuff he's not supposed to do, and he tells his wife, who clearly is going to tell on him, and I'm like, why are you trusting her? Like, she's not trustworthy. That was my only issue with the book. And like I said, I feel like with this society being what it was, people didn't really think. But yeah, so
yeah.
I really enjoyed the book. It's very good. I think probably a lot of people have already read it, or they kind of know the general premise. It's a society where books are burned. You're not allowed to read other than just like a manual. I think you can read like a manual to explain how to put your TV together or something like that. But anything that causes you to think, you're basically very discouraged from thinking for yourself. It's a really enjoyable book, and yeah.
And there's a movie coming out, right? Or a series or something?
I'm not sure if it's HBO, and I don't know if it's a movie or a series.
Some kind of
I think it might actually already be out.
Oh, or is out?
Yeah, so I need to watch it. I need to find out. But it looked good from the previews, so I'm excited to see that.
Cool.
That was kind of my motivation for reading it right now.
Yeah.
But I've wanted to read it for a long time.
So. My next book is The Way You Make Me Feel by Maureen Gu. And this is, I really like this book. It's like a nice, like kind of YA contemporary. It's about a girl whose her father and mother are both, I think her mother too, but they're both Koreans that were raised in Brazil and then her father moved to the States. So he runs a food truck that's like Korean Brazilian Korean food called cobra. It's kind of funny. And the story basically follows this girl who she has kind of like this arch nemesis at her high school, and something happens and they both get in trouble, and the punishment is that they both have to work over the summer at her dad's food truck, and they actually start coming closer and being friends. And Joel's home. So anyway, so they end up having to work together over the summer, and I liked it because, I mean, there's like a kind of like a love story going on with the guy too, but I kind of enjoyed it because it's basically two girls becoming closer friends, which I thought was kind of different than like a normal book. Like if this was even 10 years ago, it would be about like how the girls are enemies, but the one girl like triumphs over the other and gets the guy or whatever, and instead it's about them kind of learning about each other and learning that you can't judge a person just because of what you assume their life is like and kind of stuff like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I liked it because it was a book more about friendship than it was about romance. So. And it's kind of about family as well. So.
My next one was From Twinkle with Love, which I think I've talked about a few times. However, I really liked the book. I loved that it talked about a bunch of female filmmakers, and the protagonist was a female filmmaker. The structure of the book is that she writes letters to her favorite filmmakers,
which I think is such a cool way to structure a novel.
Yeah. So it's basically her diary, but she's wording it to the people she aspires to be like, pretty much. It's super cute. It has, I don't know. I think it has a lot of really interesting characters. I thought they did a good job of like picking a teen boy who's like a big cinephile and like a horror nerd, because I think that a lot of times that's pretty accurate. But also he's just like a really sweet person, which is hit or miss with the horror dudes. Yes. But anyway, it was a good book. I really enjoyed it a lot. I think if you like filmmaking at all, then it's a good book to watch. And I also
it's a good book to watch.
It's a good book to read. I saw in Goodreads, like it didn't, I don't remember what the rating was, but it wasn't that high. And I didn't read the reviews because I hate Goodreads reviews kind of. But I'm really curious like what issue people had with this book, but I wonder if the filmmaking thing was a little inaccessible to some people, possibly. I loved it, personally. I feel like anyone who's like a big film fan will really like it. So, I don't know, maybe that's part of the problem.
So my second to last book that I read was Leah on the Offbeat, and this is the sequel to Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. We were introduced to Leah in that book, and this is about her. I freaking loved this book, and it's funny because when I was going into it, some people that I follow on BookTube had been a little bit disappointed in this book, so I was like ready for it to be okay, and I just like completely fell in love with it. And I don't know if it's a thing where people had issue with like where the story goes with the certain character and stuff like that, and like the romance that kind of develops between them. I don't know if some people didn't like that, but I thought it fit and I thought it worked, and I thought especially it was really cute. It built off the first book really well. Leah reminds me a lot of like my personality when I was around her age in high school. There's like a part where her mom tells her something about how, I forget the exact line, but she was like, anytime anything goes wrong, you just like, it's just like everything exploded and you just give up, something like that. Like basically like one little thing goes wrong and you're just like, well, that's it, it's over, I can't do it. And like that was definitely like how I was, where I thought if anything happened that wasn't 100% like good or perfect, like then there was no point in continuing to try, basically. So I really related to the character of Leah a lot, and I think that's why I really, really love this book. But she's definitely, she's a little bit standoffish and she's a little bit snarky at times, but I think a lot of it just comes from like being like awkward around people and not really knowing sometimes like how to interact with people, which I totally understand, and like 100% me. So I really love this book.
Yeah, I did too. All right, so the next book I was supposed to read was Bloody Williamson, which I didn't finish yet. So more on that later. The one I did read, I finished You Are a Badass at Making Money, which is basically, it's a book about making money. The point of the book is a lot about changing your mindset when it comes to
Yeah.
money, not limiting yourself, not limiting your beliefs about money. Stop like equating money with evil, or saying that people who have a lot of money are evil or bad.
Yeah.
Those were the things that like really spoke to me, because I grew up in a small town, so it was kind of like, oh, anyone who has money is corrupt or whatever.
Yeah.
And I still have to catch myself now, because sometimes I kind of think things like that, which isn't true. It's not money that's evil,
Yes.
it's people and their intentions. So that was a big part of it. And then, like I said, just your beliefs about money and whatnot. So it's an interesting book if you are into anything with like mindset and the power of attraction kind of stuff. It's definitely a lot of that. So if you hate stuff like that, then it's not the book for you. If you are interested in that at all, then it's really good.
Yeah.
So I will say that. 'Cause I
It's
know
a
a lot
lot
of people, some people that's like too out there for them, but I think it makes a lot of sense, and I liked it.
And my last book for the month was actually a book that you read in June, or audiobook that you listened to in June, which is Julie and Julia, that long ass title.
365 days and then
Whatever. So yeah, it's just funny because when I was listening to it, I definitely just wanted to watch the movie. And so basically everything you said in your wrap up for June was basically the same thing, I think, where it's like, it's fine, but you can I definitely think I understand why they like tied the movie in with also like Julia Child's book, because you definitely, I don't know, it works better. And then there's definitely times where I will give the author props for the fact that there are times where she's unlikable, but she like cops to it and she just like goes along with it, because there's times where you're just like, dude, you're way too old for this.
Yes,
So,
for sure.
and I mean, that's about it. I mean, it was fine. So,
Okay, the last book that I read was not otherwise specified. I read that as an ebook from the library. I can't remember if I got it through Libby or what's that one called?
Overdrive, Hoopla.
Hoopla. Can't remember. I think it was from Libby. Anyway, it's an interesting book. I liked it. I felt so. The main character is a girl who is bisexual and was in with this group of girls who are all lesbians, and they kind of just like ditched her because she started dating a guy, and they were all super mean. It kind of almost felt like Mean Girls a little bit, but so I don't know. I've never been in that scenario,
Yeah.
so I can't really speak to it. But those girls were so mean, and the main character had a lot of other stuff going on, and I felt like they were just kind of really shitty friends.
Mhm.
But anyway, she ends up meeting some new people, and it definitely has a lot of fun things to it. Like, she's a big musical theater nerd. She's trying out for a musical, or not for a musical, she's trying out for a musical theater school in New York. There's just a lot of different stuff going on, and the romance in it is definitely like not important. It's more about making new friends, and then making good friends.
Yeah, definitely.
Who accept you. So overall, I liked it. I don't know. I've never been in that scenario. I'm sure there are people out there like that. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to imagine people being that mean. But
Yes.
I'm sure they exist. So anyway.
And I mean, I'm done. Are you done?
Yep.
All right. So that's
That's
it. That's our wrap up, and we will see you next time.
Yep.